Hi everybody. Today marks the 1-year anniversary of when David received his diagnosis of having hypoplastic left heart syndrome. So we wanted to make a video to just commemorate all that we've been through and what that experience was like, because you guys have all been so supportive and following our story and just continuing to lift us up in prayers. So we just thought it would be nice to just share a look back down memory lane and just to share what that was like. So it all started when I went to go get my ultrasound to determine what the sex of the baby is, and they were going to do the complete anatomy scan. And whenever they went to look at the heart, they told me that they couldn't get a very good picture of it. They said they believe that one side is smaller, but they wanted to refer me to Pensacola where there would be better equipment, and maybe, she just was like, oh, it might just be our equipment, or maybe the baby was moving. So we really thought it was nothing. We were like, okay. And we go in, and leading up to that day, I actually had gotten the phone call, and the receptionist just really had this urgency in her voice of trying to get me to come in the next day. And I said, no, I can't come in. I need to come in next week if possible so I can get off work. And she was just like, do you know why you were referred? And when I heard her ask me that, it just really put, like this urgency in my heart that thought, this might be more serious than I thought. So she was able to schedule me for the following Monday, which was perfect. It was Martin Luther King holiday. I was off work. I was able to get there, not have to worry about lining up a sub or anything like that. And so I was just so grateful that they were able to be flexible with me. However, when I went home, I thought, man, she sounded like it was serious. I mean, she was like, let me check with the doctor first. And okay, you can come in Monday. But it was just like, why was she treating me like that? I remember I called my mom and I was like, I just thought she was so rude. Like, yeah, this is a serious appointment, but why would you talk to me like that? And then I thought, wait a second. Instead of thinking she was rude, maybe I need to, take what she's saying seriously. Maybe I should, Google this. So I Googled left ventricle smaller, and when I Googled it, the only thing that came up was hypoplastic left heart syndrome. So I had the opportunity in our house to read everything about it. I got to learn in a comfortable environment, and I was reading everything in shock of what parents actually have experienced with this. And I was just like, surely this isn't for us. Surely, the equipment just didn't get a good picture, and we're just gonna go see David again, and yeah, I sent that to Chuck. I sent that to my parents. I said, I think this is what the doctors think that we have, but we're praying that it's not anything. So we go to the appointment. Our feelings going in were, oh, we just found out we're having a boy. Since we're going to Pensacola, let's go start our registry and pick out boy things. And, it's the appointment's at lunchtime. We can get our registry done after that and then go eat dinner. Make it a nice day. Well, in the appointment, I had to lay on this really uncomfortable table. I mean, they did not have any, cushion at all on it. And I was laying there for over an hour while they did, the scan, and they were pressing all over my stomach. I just remember, it hurt, being full and pregnant, constantly worried about needing to use the restroom, just being uncomfortable for a long time, and then just sitting there in that awkward silence. The ultrasound tech does not say anything. It's the doctor's job to talk about what they see. So the ultrasound tech was not very friendly or talkative at all. I mean, they were just really focused on getting the pictures. And the whole time I'm staring at the screen like, I see a heart. I hear the beating. I hear the little blood flow, when they're checking the Doppler, and they see the red going through the heart. And I'm like, everything looks like it's there. Mm-hmm. And so when the ultrasound tech left and she said, okay, I'm going to go get the doctor, me and Chuck just sat there. And it was like, well, what do you think about this? And
it was like, well, I think everything looks okay. I had no idea what I was looking at, but I just was like, they're getting a lot of pictures, but, I'm hopeful that everything looks okay. And then the doctor came in with the nurse and sat down and said, it's confirmed that, your baby has hypoplastic left heart syndrome. He said, I'm sorry. And we just sat there, and there's just kind of a short period of silence, and just kind of, okay. And then he, went on to explain a little bit in more detail kind of what it actually entails, and that we would be referred to a cardiologist there to follow David and just keep closer tabs on his heart specifically, not just him as a whole. So it was just that kind of began the journey of dealing with it.
He had actually asked, does any of this sound familiar to you? Were you able to research this? And I was amazed. I was like, yes, I actually found this on the internet, and this all lines up to what I read. So that right there was God, in this whole thing. I just remember thinking, thank God I had that time in my home in a peaceful environment where I could retain everything that was being, said on the research that I found, because if I had to hear it for the first time from the doctor, I don't think I could have listened. Because you can't listen when someone gives you a bad news. All you hear is the first word, and then you just kind of blank, and yeah. So I was really thankful that I had already read it, and I wouldn't have if that lady wasn't, so urgent and rude. So my reaction whenever the doctor spoke that was just like, okay, so now we got some praying to do, but we have to figure out how to tell people. I have to figure out, how am I going to afford 3 open heart surgeries in the next 4 years? I was just really, I didn't know what to think. Where are we going to have the baby? It can't be here. They're not a heart surgery area. I had to suddenly do a lot of research and a lot of thinking. So all of the overwhelming thoughts were starting to flood. But all I could think about is, I waited all this time to prepare to have a baby, and now I don't know if my baby's going to live. It's not the kind of news that I thought I was going to have when I went to go find out if I was having a boy or girl. So that's all I could carry with me when I left that appointment. I remember thinking, I need to go to the bathroom before we get to the car and go shopping, and so in the bathroom I'm just like, hold it together, just make it out to the car. I feel like I'm holding back tears and I can't even walk, but if I break down now, I'm not going to be able to make it to the car. So me and Chuck just quickly walk to the car, and we get there, and then it's like, now what? Do we still go to Babies R Us? And we're like, yeah, let's go. And so we go to Babies R Us, and we just start looking at things, and that ended up not being a pleasant experience at all. We thought it might be a good distraction, but all this time, it's a silent car ride. We don't feel like we can even text family yet. We just go in Babies R Us, and we just don't know what to think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like we were standing there looking at things for our baby, seeing other couples in there looking at things happy, and it's like we were there just given this news that, do we even need to be here looking at stuff is kind of the way we initially felt. So it was tough, it was tough in there looking at all that stuff that, 3 hours before we were raring to go, and then just you have that moment where it's like, man, then it kind of sinks in.
Mm-hmm. And through that shopping experience, I remember that's where the Lord impressed it upon me to name him David. So, there was a positive that day that we were able to finally figure out what we wanted to name him.
Yes.
We didn't have a middle name yet, but it was a good moment. Just feeling like, we don't need to get into that. But anyways, so then we had to battle with sharing the news with everybody. It was like we didn't even want to accept the news ourselves, and now we have to tell people. So of course we texted our immediate family and the church staff. I spent the whole like car ride trying to write all the details down, and we really need our space. This is the way I put it. And I knew I needed to tell my coworkers. I knew my boss needed to know. Now I'm going to have 3 times the amount of doctor's appointments. I might have to leave early to have the baby somewhere because the baby was due the last day of school, but having to prepare for an open heart surgery right after he's born, I didn't know what was coming up. So every time I remember the following day, so that I haven't even had 24 hours to let this sink in, I go in and I sit down and look at my computer, and I typed those words so many times, and I just had to delete them. I couldn't even write them on the screen. It was just so hard to accept it.